I was thinking about how so much of gender is about what other people anticipate seeing in you, not even just what characterizes you. And so much of gender is symbolic. Um, Maybe I'm kind of dense, but I didn't really understand why there was this like social connection between women and flowers for so long, and then suddenly it hit me and I was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm sick." Um oh, it's because of the genitalia. It looks like flowers or something. I was like, "What? Seriously?" I mean, there's just so many arbitrary symbolic things. I mean, for instance, men could grow out their hair, and their hair could be really wavy, and then it could look like the waves at the cusp of the petals. Like, seriously? I think it goes back to this obsession with genitalia. Like, I think the reason why heads turn when you say gender is that people are like, genitals? Whoa! Alright, so maybe that's a little out there. But I feel like a machine answering this question. Like, you put the questions in my head, you put the topics in my head now. Spit it out. Like, process that. You know, I'm not a factory. Most of this happens outside of my body anyway. So I guess I'm gonna try to answer the questions, just keeping that in mind as a sort of framework. And I have two suggestions. One suggestion I have is that you not look at identity in terms of individuality. Don't look at identity in terms of a single isolated person in a vacuum. Look at identity as a series of human interactions and how many different players and people and environments are involved. And tell your story through that. Don't form a narrative thread so thin that it falls apart. And the other kind of advice I have is to focus on how you're defined through your experiences. I mean, that will inevitably connect with my first point. Don't just get in your head and be like, "Oh, where's the answer?" You know, like you're a factory and you're able to just produce the answer. Like, where do the materials come from? What kind of materials are you using to think about yourself? I mean, I'm a socialist. I've read a lot of Marxist theory, so that obviously informs my ideas about gender. So I'm going to tell you a story. I work in the morning at a desk job, and one of my fellow employees came up behind me, and he's a man who's probably like my age, and he said, "What's that?" And he grabbed my hand suddenly, and he looked at my nails, and he's like, "Oh, what is that?" And I was like, "Tommy, it's just nail polish. Relax." I was a witch on Halloween, and I painted my nails. But to him, this was, such a huge deal, and it completely symbolically marked me as other, as female, and it's really just nail polish. Wow, amazing. So then, a few months later, I was typing at the keyboard, and Tommy came behind me, and Tommy was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go fix some screws or some bolts or something out there on the rink, and obviously you can't help me because wouldn't want to mess up your nail polish." And I thought to myself, really, Tommy? You're bringing back this nail polish bullshit? On top of that, I didn't have painted nails that day. He saw in me somebody who was already marked as female, regardless of what information he could have gotten that was current and up to date. And so that is the nature of gender. It's a marking that uses symbolic properties which are arbitrary I'm not saying that our relationship with our symbols are arbitrary. Certainly not. I mean, that would be saying, oh, I think human spirituality is completely random and meaningless. No, that's like one of the most meaningful things. But what I'm saying is the connection between certain symbols and a specific gender identity is flawed. And there's huge gaps between them. So this is my quote unquote femme way of looking at it. I think that you could label this any way that you want. But one thing that women have done throughout history is that they've unstabilized things. And just the mere thought of women, of the uncertainty, of the mystery, of the darkness, is a big part of where this idea of femme is coming from, and why it's so hard to articulate, and why there isn't really a narrative thread that is running through it. Because we've built the concept of narrative on something that's not really a narrative in the first place. For example, the metaphor of the closet. What is a closet? It's a small, dark, interior space. And I'm sorry I'm going to have to make you think about this, but what's going on down there? Like, what is your body like? What are these organs like that are inside of you? Do you even see most of what makes up who you are? You don't. It's hidden underneath there. Your heart, your stomach, your ovaries, your uterus. Okay, these are small, dark, enclosed interiors. They're closets. And you're not going to come out of them unless you want to completely reverse your flesh suit and be all like Men in Black, the alien takes over the body. I mean, if you want to do that, go ahead. But that's not really what they mean by coming out. And as much as I think that people have positive meanings to coming out and that it's a way that they can actually express themselves, I think that you have to realize that embedded in the very consciousness that you're trying to smash in the first place as a queer person resisting this dominant culture that's oppressing you, you have to realize that you're taking up some of the same terms, some of the same symbols. And this is going to put constant pressure on your deeper ability to find that, that spirituality, that sense of self that you're looking for, which can't be individualized, which can't be shut in and asked questions and put questions in the box and answers come out. It's not how we are meant to live. Alright, that was a long ramble. Hope you liked it. Signing off.